What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing two looks with the new CARLI BYBEL collab with Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I almost didn't buy this because it's a soft palette. It's lighter colors. It's not really the vibe that I have been into lately. I have been on some bright ass fall color combination shit lately. So this just didn't quite catch my eye when they first announced it, or rather when it was unfortunately leaked and then announced. But I got so many comments from you guys asking me to do a video on this palette that it kind of changed my mind. Not just because I want to create the content that you guys want to see, of course, but also because sometimes you guys see things in palettes that like I don't see right away, and you're right and I'm wrong. You're like, go get that palette, we want to see it. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. That was not appealing to me. And you guys are like, no, go. And I'm like, okay. And sometimes you wind up being right, and sometimes you wind up being wrong, but usually you're right. Also, I have to say before we start this, I love CARLI. I think she seems like the sweetest person ever. I have been following her probably almost the longest of anybody that I've been watching makeup videos from on YouTube. After Candy Johnson and Pixie Woo's, I think they were the first two. I'm super excited for her. I think this collab is very, very her. Her and I have very different styles though. So for me, I feel like making this palette work for my makeup style is a fun challenge. As always, I'll link all of the products that I use outside of this palette in the description down below. I'll timestamp each look, and I will timestamp the little portion at the end where I let you guys know what my first impression of the palette is. Before we get into it, please don't forget to leave a like if you don't mind taking a second to do that. And also, if you are new around here, please subscribe if you have not, because I would absolutely, with the core of my soul, love to have you stick around. It would make my day, it would make my week, it would make my month, it'd make my afternoon, it would make my coffee for me in the morning, it would make my bed, everything, all of it, all of it. So if you want to see how I did these two looks, stick around, and well, I think that's all we got to talk about before we get into it. So let's just get into look number one with the ABH CARLI BYBEL palette. This is the outer packaging of the CARLI BYBEL palette. Just so you know, it does come in a unicarton with the same print on the outside, and this is like not as three-dimensional as it looks. Like, it's not completely flat. There's a texture. It's like feels like snakeskin bag or something. Now that I have it in person, I can see it's like a 3D effect and not actually 3D. It's way cooler than I thought it was, to be honest. This is what the inside of the palette looks like. It has a little bit more color than I initially thought it would, which is exciting. To start the first look, I'm gonna grab my BH number 6 brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade BYBEL. I'm gonna use that to start defining my crease after I tap away my wrinkles. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just tap away actual wrinkles? That'd be cool. Somebody needs to invent that. So one of the things that I think is interesting about this palette is the variation between cool and warm tones. So for these two looks, I'm gonna try to find two different ways to combine the cool and the warm tones. I love combining cool tones and warm tones because I think it gives a really interesting effect. So we're gonna see what we can do with that today. I'm gonna take a pencil brush and pack a little bit of that same shade on the outer corner. On my BH number 7, I'm gonna go into the shade Bowie, and I'm gonna deepen the crease with that a little bit and deepen the outer corner with it as well. So far, those two shades work great together. They just kind of mix seamlessly, which we love. It makes our life easy. Thank you, CARLI, for thinking this through. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the inner corner with my NABLA cut crease maker brush and a little bit of concealer just to give ourselves a little bit of extra room for some shimmers. And just blend the edge of that concealer out with a clean, small brush. Doesn't really matter what kind of brush you use, as long as it's small so you can control the area. I'm gonna grab a flat brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Aura. Aura is a pink shimmer, but it has some gold shift in it. I think it would be a good contrast to this really kind of like grayish mauve crease that we've got going on so far. Initially putting that down, I'm not super satisfied with how impactful it is, so I'm going to dampen my brush a little bit and see if we can get a little bit more foiled kind of a look from it. Yeah, that's definitely better wet. I'm gonna take this same brush and I'm gonna go into the shade OA. I'm gonna dampen that from the jump just because why not? Put that over the center of the lid. At first it's gonna look real crazy next to that thing, but it's okay. We're gonna find something to bridge the gap between the two of them and make it make sense. To do that, I'm gonna take the same brush and I'm gonna go into the shade Libra. I'm not going to dampen it this time, but the little residual dampness should help it. And I'm gonna tap that right over those two shades. So far, all those shades are performing pretty well. There's nothing wrong with them, but I do feel like, at least for my preference and maybe my skin tone and stuff, these colors are lacking a little bit of like richness and depth. So I want to add some black to the look with some liner. So I'm going to grab my Urban Decay Perversion liner and I'm just going to add a nice heavy wing, as I do. And to like amp this up a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting, I'm gonna pick up my Fenty liner in the shade Skinny Dip. And I'm gonna go ahead and add that to the top of the black liner, but keep it on like the inner portion and like taper it out in the end. I went ahead and concealed under my eyes, and now I'm gonna start working on the lower lashes. I go into the color Chai on a NABLA pointed crease brush, which has a random dog hair on it. I'm gonna drag that underneath my lower lashes. Grab a flat brush and go into Bowie. Push that along my lower lash line on the outer corner. I'm gonna pick up the NABLA pointed crease brush again and just blend those together. I wanna do in the waterline a blue that's kind of similar to what we have on the top. So I'm gonna grab Whatchamacallit from ColourPop. This is actually a lip liner, believe it or not, but I'm going to be using it as an eyeliner today. Any kind of a bright blue that's kind of like a denim, periwinkly sort of a shade should kind of give you the same effect. I'm gonna grab a pencil brush and on the inner corner, I'm gonna go into the shade Bali. That's a really nice highlight shade. I feel like this would make a really nice brow bone highlight too. I don't particularly feel like highlighting my brow bone right now, but if I did, that would be what I chose. I put on House of Lashes Stella Luxe because I felt like a flared but big lash would really kind of amplify this look a little bit, and I'm very happy with how that worked out. For the lips, I'm gonna I've been like digging back through my drawer of ABH liquid lipsticks lately. I kind of fell off the ABH liquid lipstick train for a while because they're a little bit moussey and a little bit drier than I generally like, but I've noticed that I actually like them if I put them on with a little bit of lip balm still on underneath them, specifically the Agave Lip Mask from Bite Beauty. I'm gonna use the color Craft because I love this shade. It's kind of like a mauve, which kind of works with the tones that we did here, but it's also a little bit on the brighter side, so it'll just like add a little bit more of something that pops with this. And this is the first look. For look number 2, if all goes as I have planned in my little noggin, we're gonna get a little bit more color into this one. So I'm gonna start with the color Cindy, which is like a nice coral shade. By the way, Mandala, which we're gonna be using this look, it reminds me a bit of Alchemy from NABLA. I'll let you guys know if I think they're on par with one another, but just full disclosure, Alchemy is one of my favorite shadows of all time. Beach number 6, going into Cindy. I'm gonna put that around the crease area. I'm gonna go ahead and bring that up nice and high. I'm gonna grab a little Real Techniques shading brush and I'm gonna go into the shade Stev. Pack that shade on the outer portion of the lid and also on the inner portion, but it'll leave the center open. That shade is really nice, but I'm getting a lot of fallout with that one, just FYI. I'm just gonna go into Stev a little bit more and I'm gonna drag that right into the crease to blend it in with Cindy. Just flick the shape out a little bit as well. For the center of the lid, I'm not going to do any sort of a cut or a cut crease, but I am gonna take a little bit of concealer on my hand and pat that into the center where it's open there, just to make sure that we have a nice bright sticky spot to put that focus color on. I'm gonna tap that up too, so it kind of goes a little bit above the crease. Going to the shade Mandala. I'm gonna start by packing that shade right in the center where we put down that concealer. That does indeed look quite a bit like Alchemy. Yay. Oh, I'm excited for that. I'm gonna tap a little bit of that shade right over the red shade because that'll give it like a nice gradient and also change the way the reflex in that color look. It's the fun thing about like these duochrome kind of shades, especially like the lighter ones. When you put them over a darker shade, it completely changes their character. Gives you a really interesting effect on the lid. For the lower lash line, I want to do pretty much the same thing, just down there. So I'm going to use a smaller brush this time. I'm going to go back into Stev and I'm going to put that on the outer part of the lower lash line, swing it up into that pointier shape that we have on the top, and put it on the inner corner as well, and blend that out with a clean brush. I'm just using the same brush we used to put down the crease shade, so it has like a little bit of it left on there. We're not really adding a whole ton of color to it though. Now for the Mandala shade, I want to first of all reflect that shade in the waterline because it's very pretty and also give it something to stick to. So I'm going to grab Asphyxia from Urban Decay, a very similar shade to what we worked with on the lid, and I'm going to put that through the waterline, but also going to bring it down in the center to give that shade something to stick to so it pops. I'm going to take my NABLA lash line smudger brush and go back into Mandala. When I first saw this, I thought it was Mandala, but apparently it's her friend, and her friend's nickname is Mandala. I'm just gonna pop that right over where we put down that pencil. I'm back in with the pencil brush to blend that red shade back in with it a little bit as well. I'm gonna go repeat those steps on this eye and add some lashes and mascara, and then we'll pair this with a lip of some sort. What sort? I don't know. I'll figure it out maybe while I glue my lashes on, we'll see. For this look, I went with Iconic Light lashes. Felt like they kind of went with the vibe, didn't cover too much of that really pretty kind of iridescent thing we got going on the lid. I added a little bit of a pink highlighter to my cheeks because again, I felt like that subtle iridescence was kind of like the vibe of this look. To continue with that vibe, I'm going to do my lips very simple, no liner, no lipstick, just a gloss. I'm going to be using the Most from Dose of Colors. This is from the Desi Katie Friendication collection. It is also a little bit iridescent, but subtle. And this is the second look. My first impression after doing these two looks is that the formulas on these are very nice, but if you're expecting the formula that was in the Norvina collection palettes, you will be disappointed. It's not that type of formula. It's more similar to their other 12-pan palettes like this, like the Jackie Aina palette. Now, what does that mean? In my opinion, the shimmers in here are less intense and honestly, for me, less impressive than the ones in the Norvina palette, and I do prefer to use them wet on a wet brush, whereas the Norvina collection ones, I didn't really feel like that was necessary. The mattes in this palette all performed really well. I didn't have any issues with them as far as patchiness. Everything blended properly. Nothing seemed to like stick weird or do anything weird. Everything worked very nicely. I like that the mattes in here are really well thought out in that like you can pair them together and they are easy to make blended and cohesive, and they work together well, and you can tell that they put thought into what shades to put into the palette. The two shimmers that I liked the best were Mandala and OA. They're both very pretty. Mandala, like I said, does remind me of Alchemy from NABLA, which I know is like a cult favorite. So if you're looking for a shadow like that inside a palette, I think you might like this a lot. I don't think that this is quite as bright as Alchemy, but the color is really, really similar. OA is actually pretty unique, which I wasn't expecting from the pictures I saw online. It's like a charcoal gray with a cool undertone, so kind of like almost like a blue, but it has like the little shimmers in there are almost like hollow, you know? They have like a little rainbow shift to them, which makes it more interesting and cooler in person than I was expecting it to be for sure. Overall, I think it's a nice palette. It seems very high quality. The packaging is very glam, and I think this would be very easy to keep clean, which I like. Personally, I feel like for me, I would have liked to have seen at least one shade in here that's a bit richer and deeper. So the deepest shade in here is Bowie, which is like this neutral dark brown. It's a nice shade and it works well, but for my personal preference, I would like to see something that, I know that a black shade maybe didn't fit the vibe of the palette, but like a darker, deeper, like rich coffee brown shade that you could use to deepen up or even use it as a liner, stuff like that. I would have liked to see something like that in here. Especially because Bowie was barely dark enough to deepen things up on my skin tone, and I'm on the fair side. Like, I'm usually like light medium, so anybody who was even a little bit tanner than me, I feel like might not have a shade deep enough to like deepen up the crease and stuff in here, so I would have liked to see something a little bit darker than that. On a whole though, I think it's a very pretty palette, and I think if the colors in here appeal to you, if you like a soft glam with like a little bit of color for your day-to-day makeup, I think you'll like this a lot. Overall, I had fun making these looks today, and I'm glad that you guys convinced me to do this review. Thank you. Don't forget to leave a like on this video because it's very helpful to me and I would really appreciate it. And also, if you are new around here and maybe you've like watched a few videos, you've gotten to the end of this one and you thought to yourself, I'm just not sure. Well, I would love it if you would subscribe. I don't know if that sways you at all, but if it does, then I'll be very happy to have you around. If you want to keep up with me between videos, go ahead and find me on Instagram. I'm at Ms. Quinface over there. I just finished up a few new Halloween lip arts and I'm actually really excited for them because I switched up how I did the photography and the editing, and I was really happy with the results, and I felt like more creative about that stuff for the first time in a while. So if you're into that kind of a thing, or if you just want to see behind the scenes on my stories, PR unboxings, videos of Charlie, stuff like that, then come find me and I would love to have you be a part of our little Instagram crew as well. I think that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me talking about makeup, and I will see you in the next one. To the shade Libra. Whoa, the NABLA saw. What the hell is that? On my NABLA. Why do I always say NABLA? NABLA. No, NABLA.